Okay then, what have you got to show me? Ah yes, I've invented a device to track down the Man of Sorrows. Okay, let's see it. Ta-da! That's an iPhone. Not sponsored by Apple. It's an app on the iPhone, not sponsored by Apple. Okay then, let's see how it works. Where is he? About that, it's gonna take some time to pinpoint his location. So basically I have time for another review. Okay then. Hello and welcome back. And after last time's overly long-winded review, sorry about that, today I've decided to review something a little more action-packed and easy to swallow. Today I am reviewing Damon X Machina, or is it Demon X Machina? Not quite sure how you say that, for the Nintendo Switch, although there is also a PC port. The story takes place in an unspecified time in the future where humanity is facing a crisis.
Oh shit, here we go again.
This time around, the crisis in question is an event called the Moonfall, named as such because a giant chunk of the moon broke off and crashed to Earth.
Oh, that's bad.
However, contained within that chunk of the moon was a mineral called fentanyl that humanity has been using as a fuel source that has accelerated its technological and scientific achievements immensely.
That's good.
Unfortunately, turns out fentanyl is hella toxic, and long-term exposure to it could lead to severe illness or even death.
That's bad.
However, it does seem that a small minority of those exposed to fentanyl become outriders, individuals with almost superhuman physiques, and most of the population are kept safe under energy shields that keep out the fentanyl in the atmosphere.
That's good.
Unfortunately, the remaining nations of the world are constantly on the verge of declaring war on each other, and if that wasn't bad enough, humanity's unmanned vehicles are being taken over and corrupted by AIs called the Immortals. And the only thing standing in the way of humanity being destroyed by these Immortals and themselves are the Outriders, who have decided to form mercenary groups, pilot mechs called Arsenals.
Can I go now?
You play as the Rookie, your own customizable character working under an AI called Four, who takes jobs from the many nations and fights either alongside or against other mercenaries and gets paid for completing the job. You interact with quite a lot of characters, perhaps a bit too many, as it's hard to sort of get a grip on them and make any connections as they're constantly popping in and out of the story, and made even more harder by the fact that you could be fighting alongside them in one mission only to fight against them the next. You eventually find out that one of the leaders of the mercenary teams by the name of Grief has been offering other mercenaries an attempt to gain more power and achieve the next stage in human evolution by activating a device called the Dominator. All the other mercenaries that haven't sided with Grief have decided to team up to stop him. Along the way, you find out that the reason that the Immortals have been attacking humanity is to prevent them from getting to the Dominator. After confronting the mercenaries that have sided with Grief, who have been powered up by fentanyl harvesting devices called Black Lotuses, you finally confront Grief, that reveals that he plans to use the Dominator to deactivate all of the shields around human population centres to expose the population to the fentanyl particles, which, while killing off a majority of the people, will allow a small minority of remaining people to become outriders so they could replace the human population with a more stronger one and eventually escape Earth before it becomes uninhabitable. After defeating Grief, he manages to fuse himself and his arsenal with the Dominator to form final boss archetype number 51, Incomprehensible Clusterfuck. After defeating Grief a second time, he reveals that he created you. It's not quite I am your father, but along the same lines. And the reason he made you was to activate the Dominator in case he failed. 4 then reveals that she was the Dominator the whole time, literally describing itself as a Deus Ex Machina and giving you the choice of whether to fulfill Grief's plan or let humanity find another way to survive. And depending on which choice you choose, depends on which ending you get. The gameplay mostly focuses around piloting your arsenal, given almost free movement in 6 directions, allowing you to either scoot around along the ground or fly through the air. You use L to fire your shoulder mounted weapon and use R to boost, although doing so depletes your stamina, so keep an eye on that. Use B to jump and ascend, Y to use your wing mounted equipment or whatever they may be. Use A to pick up and carry stuff, and use X to exit and re-enter your mech whenever you so choose. You can also store 2 extra weapons on your arsenal's back in case you run out of ammo, and you can switch between your weapons by using the right and left arrow buttons. Your arsenal can also create a hologram of its stealth to distract your enemies. The gameplay is really fast paced and fun, if a bit repetitive at times, as most missions usually involve around fighting off a certain amount of enemies, defending a certain objective from said enemies, or fighting bosses, either against mercenaries in their mechs or against colossal immortals. One of the key game mechanics is customizing your arsenal with weapons and armour that you either get off downed arsenals that you buy in the store, can craft from other arsenal pieces, or can get from defeating a certain amount of immortals. You can also customize your character with certain augments that give you certain buffs, and you can also gain temporary buffs for one mission only by eating ice cream. There's also online multiplayer, either involving a group of people taking down colossal immortals, a player versus player mode, and some sort of dungeon creator, I think. Didn't really get to experience them myself because Nintendo wants you to pay extra just to play online multiplayer. While graphics aren't exactly the greatest, they are stylized in such a way that gives them a certain appeal, and they do a decent job of conveying the world the game takes place in. The music's alright too. Not exactly the most memorable, but it certainly is fitting with high-paced tracks fitting the gameplay, and more ominous or laid-back tracks for the moments that require it. While this game doesn't do anything outstanding or spectacular, it is also relatively a unique experience and pretty fun too, so I'd say give it a go. Well, that's all from me. See you guys next time. Okay, did you find him? Yes. Would you like to handle him yourself? Nah, I've got too many games to review. You expect me to take him all on by myself? I don't know, maybe ask Jeremy, he could help. Okay then. Good grief. This time and if that wasn't bad enough, flies, fucking flies, and it's still rolling. It's not quite you're also for football fighting off a certain amount of enemies. Flies are fucking flies, as missions usually involve flies. Well, that's all from me. See you guys next time. Fly, you fucking ruined it!